Welcome to part two of Leading the Genius of Tenacity. If you checked out the first video, we talked about just some awareness pieces, some of the assumptions that those with the Genius of Tenacity have, and some ways that it can be misapplied, and just really that bigger picture. Because what's important before we even get to practical tips is having the understanding of who our team is and the elements that affect that. And so having that awareness is going to help us to apply these tips in this video with greater clarity and precision and productivity, and really with that person in mind so that we can lead them well. Because as leaders, that's what we want to do. That's what we do. We're all about leading the people, not just the work. And so, leading the people that have the genius of tenacity, you want to do this really well is set clear expectations, clear deadlines, and clear outcomes. And the reason for that is because those with the genius of tenacity, they're working really hard to help us cross the finish line. They are focused on crossing that line. And when those deadlines, when that line becomes foggy and it becomes ambiguous, that is really crushing to them. And so the people on your team who have that genius, they crave that clarity. And I think lots of people probably, even without that genius, probably crave that clarity. I don't have that as a genius, but I do enjoy and appreciate the clarity. And so even beyond that, the clarity of those deadlines, the clarity of expectations, the clarity of outcomes is going to be really, really important. Now, I understand that we can't always keep to those deadlines. Sometimes circumstances require us to change things. But I just want to highlight that it's important that we're not just frivolously changing things, and that we are actually remaining committed ourselves to those outcomes and to that proverbial finish line. And so when you do have to make those changes, it's important to communicate enough context so that your team knows that these outcomes and what you're doing is still valuable because they are following you and they want to believe that you still see these things as really important, that the goal, that the vision that you originally set out to achieve is still important. And so when things become ambiguous and begin changing things and become very loose with those deadlines, then it can communicate that, you know what, it may not be as important. The other thing that you want to communicate is the personal impact that these changes are going to have on your team. So just recognizing and say, hey, you know what, I appreciate that you've been working hard and helping us move towards this finish line. You've been helping us to get this project done, whatever it is. And just recognizing, hey, you know what, I understand that these changes are going to impact you in A or B different ways. Sometimes it's even in a personal way, it can impact them. And so just recognizing that just helps them to realize, hey, they're part of the team and they're appreciated and that you see them. That's such a important factor of leading people, is simply just seeing them beyond the work that they do. And so the other thing that we want to do is not just celebrate the outcomes. And so when we finish or cross the finish line, we don't want to just celebrate the outcome and that the fact that we finished, but we want to celebrate the team collaboration and the effort that went into finishing it and coming across the finish line. Because the reality is, the results in and of themselves do not replicate themselves. Results can't reproduce results, but the team collaboration can. Your team efforts can reproduce themselves. And so that is really something that we must not forget to celebrate, is the collaborative effort that your team put in to make it possible for you to finish that cross line or finish line as a team. And so lastly is simply to frame the achievements again and again and again within the broader context of the vision. Bring it back at the beginning. You started with vision. In the middle, we want to bring it back to vision, and at the end, we want to bring it back and talk about what was the impact of our work. How did it help us achieve the vision? Thanks for watching to the end. I just want to encourage you to hit the subscribe button, follow along for more information and tips, especially around the working genius. And also, if you're curious about bringing this to your team, I would love to chat, even if I'm not the person to facilitate your workshop. Send me an email, coaching@michaeldueck.com, and let's see if Working Genius might be your next step.